Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I welcome you to another enlightening episode of this program, Islam is Beautiful. Islam is indeed beautiful. My name is Salma Aditutulawal. Thank you for joining us.
Fortunate is he.
This program is sponsored in memory of Ajia Fauziya Kende Lola Hali. May Allah grant her Al-Jannah Firdaus. Ameen.
His thoughts of Allah and Judgment Day.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ramadan has come and gone. Yes, Alhamdulillah, we are still alive. May Allah keep and preserve our lives for many more Ramadans to come. Ameen. Today on the program, we shall be discussing the topic, after Ramadan, what next? A question you will say. Yes, it's a question. We need to ask ourselves questions every time as Muslims and nudge ourselves on to good deeds. Now, to do this chit-chatting with me, I have Sister Alima.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister Khadija.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And Sister Sakina.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My sisters join me in saying Islam is beautiful.
Islam is beautiful.
Indeed, Islam is beautiful. Now, after Ramadan, yes, we are expected to do some things, go into some acts of worship, and then keep the pace that we had during the month of Ramadan. A lot of us may not know this, but that we are here today after Ramadan, we should even work more on the things we did during Ramadan. Now, I'll throw the question at you straight. After Ramadan, what next, Sister Khadija?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. We give Almighty Allah the praise and glory for having concluded that holy month of Ramadan, and we believe inshallah He would have granted all our prayers and would have benefited a lot from the month. Now that the Ramadan is over, we all should still be in that spirit of holiness. We should still have that feeling that if we are close to God, God is closer to us. And we should, as much as possible, continue to have the fear of God in us, continue to do what we know God wants us to do, continue with our prayers. The recitation of our Quran should not stop because Ramadan is over. The giving of alms, the giving of our acts of charity should not end with Ramadan. It should be a way of life. It should be continuous. The fact that we give does not mean that it's just a period of time that we should be giving. Giving is an act. It should be part of our lives. We should continue to remember our brothers and sisters, and the less privileged, the needy, the wayfarers, and we should continue to extend our hands of charity and goodwill to other people.
Yes, mashallah, Ramadan has gone. As the Holy Prophet has said that during the month of Ramadan, Allah keeps shaitan in bondage. We shouldn't be among those that will let him loose of the shackles. We should be among those that will preserve the ethics, the principles that we held up during the month of Ramadan. For those that used to take alcohol, for those of us that try to graduate during the month of Ramadan, we started using hijab. For those of us that observe our 5 daily prayers regularly, it doesn't end at the month of Ramadan. We keep it up and keep up all the good things we did in the month of Ramadan.
MashaAllah. After Ramadan, we still have Sita Shawwal to fast. So that's the first step after Ramadan. You try and complete your Sita Shawwal because that's the next month immediately after Ramadan, so that you have a clearer view of what the next months are going to be like before you get to the next Ramadan. Like my sisters have said, all the acts of ibadah that we have imbibed during the month of Ramadan should still be with us. We should try as much as possible to maintain it, even if not on 100%, maintain it to a particular percentage, so that we'll still be counted among those that were fortunate to witness the month of Ramadan, probably the one that is still going to meet us alive.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Now, when we say Sita Shawwal, that's the 6 days of fast that we're supposed to do in this month of Shawwal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. You said it on this program that it doesn't have to be consecutive. You can pick any of the days of the 30 days or 29 days in this month, just make sure you fast for 6 days in this month. Now, when we say really after Ramadan, don't you think we should be better off than even Ramadan? If we say we should still keep up the things we used to do during Ramadan, it's like telling them to be static. Don't you think?
Mashallah, Ramadan is expected to be like a training, like a training ground on which you build on. The Ramadan, the 30 days is a long period enough to learn the good things. So of course, after Ramadan, we should continue all those things we used to do.
We should continue and even work
build
more.
on it. Yes, we should, just like you said, it's a foundation. We should build on it because you know Ramadan takes you closer to God. So some people that were not even religious at that point, they see Ramadan as a platform. You find out that sometimes after the Ramadan, some people keep up while some backslide. So I think we should try and learn how to build on what we have learned during Ramadan rather than maintaining the fact that what we have learned in Ramadan should stick. We should just try and build on what we have.
More patient. What we've read in the Quran during Ramadan, there's so many stories of the Quran we've read during Ramadan. We should not put them into practice. Like this story of Khidri and Prophet Musa alayhi salam in Surah Al-Kahf, that there were instances where it showed that Khidri was able to show the Prophet Musa alayhi salam that there's nothing we can do in life without patience, and that though we human beings are always very much in a hurry, whatever it is that is happening in our lives at any point in time, it has the hands of Almighty Allah in it. And that at any stage, when we get a bit maybe confused or lost, we should remember that the Almighty God we serve is still very much alive, and that whatever it is at the end of the tunnel, there's going to be bright. There's going to be light, and everything. Will eventually be resolved with a lot of patience, and that there's a reason for whatever it is, Almighty Allah. Whatever is happening in your life at this point in time, there is a reason for it. He knows it. Even there's instances in the Quran where you feel, how can anyone go through this? But at the end of the day, when Allah reveals why this is going on, you can't help but give glory to Him and see that He's all in all.
That is to say, if you have read the Quran properly during the month of Ramadan,
yes,
these are the things you should
imbibe and practice them now.
Now, if for a Muslim that is just getting to understand the religion, what advice would you give to him if during Ramadan he had people calling? We know that we do that a lot. You call people to wake up for tahajjud, but we don't do that after Ramadan. We don't get to call our neighbors, we don't get to call our friends to go for congregational prayers and all. Now, for that particular Muslim that's just understanding and that's just fasted for 30 days for the very first time in his life, how do you think he can cope with moving on with the trend?
Yes, mashallah. The Holy Quran, Almighty Allah says, Farifuni Kobla Anta Abuduni. As I said, the person just fasted the first Ramadan in his life, so he has to learn. After Ramadan, he has to learn so much about the religion and all the beauty of Islam, so that he'll be able to know how to practice Islam in the right manner. And now the Ramadan has gone. It has come and it has gone. He should try to keep up all the things. Probably he attended programs and was taught some things, the values of Islam and everything. He should try to keep it up and build on it.
With the encouragement of
the community he belongs. He has to belong to a group of people that would encourage him and teach him on how to build up on his faith.
Okay. Now, in a situation where the individual, let's say a woman now, who knows that during Ramadan, of course, she wake up to cook for her husband and all of those, and she feels that there's this certain thing that she's asking from Allah, and He did not grant her during the month of Ramadan, and she feels down that, okay, if she cannot get it, if the month of Ramadan is the month where we can get all our wishes, our prayers answered, and this particular prayer that she did not, what do you advise that kind of a person to do? Because that's the promise we have of Allah, that all our prayers will be answered and all of that. So after Ramadan, why should I continue if my prayers will be answered?
I think what the sister should do is pick up a Quran again. There's in the Quran, there's chapter 18, Surah Al-Kahf. I'll go back to Surah Al-Kahf, verse 68. It says, "Wa kayfa tasbiru alam wa lam tu'id bi kubra." How can you have patience about things which are beyond your knowledge? It's difficult for us to be patient about things we don't have knowledge of. But when you continue to read your Quran and continue to pray, Allah did not tell us that when you pray today, I'll answer you today. The promise of Allah to us is that believers will never grieve. And when you are armed with that, what you'll tell yourself each time anything, if it's still on, it's still on, because it's a phase. Allah's time is the last time. We must have to wait. We must learn patience. We want to work with God, you must be patient.
Patience, that's the key.
That's the first key. That's the key. Yeah, that's the word. You leave that aside. Exactly. I mean, everything else is impossible.
Okay. And I think that's also inherent in the fact that we see that the beautiful names of Allah has patience as the last one. If you want all these beautiful things to come to you, you must be patient. So as Muslims, we were patient during the month of Ramadan, so we are advised to keep up with being patient and all. Now, for a person who knows it as a weakness, that he has a particular vice. Now, during the month of Ramadan, he asked Allah, begged people around to make it easy for him to, discard such a behavior. And yet, that thing is still there. After Ramadan, what should he do? If this vice is one that can nullify all other good deeds that he does. Like, some people have it now that if they do not seek the counsel of some sort of gods, many gods or the other, their prayers will not be answered. It's something that they can't help to. Now, in the month of Ramadan, maybe they were able to, just stop a little. But, they have it in them that it's not, they understand these things differently. Some people even believe that this istihara, that after you do it, and the Holy Prophet said, now seek from those who know more than you, is about going to these many gods. Now, this kind of person knows that this is a weakness. How would you advise that person? Because these are things that people raise on our email, and we need to address them.
MashaAllah, everything boils down to the level of faith you have.
Yes.
The first pillar of Islam is Kalimatul Shahada. If you have a strong faith that Kalimatul Shahada, there is no God except Allah, and there is no power except Allah, and there is none worthy of worship except Allah. So if you are settling for anything apart from Allah, of course that thing is less than Allah, so it's not worth it at all. So we should have a very strong faith that Allah, that there is no God anyway, and there is nothing. And to go around to seek for people's help, Allah created everybody equally, and everybody has a right to call Allah equally. Allah has not created anybody more special above any other. So we are equal in the sight of Allah. In fact, that person you might be looking at as somebody more spiritual or somebody better than you might not be in the sight of Allah.
Yes.
You might have a kinder heart, or Allah might be looking at, you might have some kind. Look at Pharaoh. As wicked as Pharaoh was, Allah considered the fact that he was kind to his mother. And Allah still showed him some grace. Yes. So everybody, Allah has a soft spot for every individual. When Allah created you with your problems, nobody was there. So there is no alpha anywhere as far as I am concerned. In my own opinion, you are supposed to seek for knowledge to a level where you'll be able to worship God and you have confidence, because everything boils down to the level of knowledge you have. You have to seek for knowledge and have so much confidence.
Now, in seeking knowledge, I noticed that during the month of Ramadan, you put on your TV set, every station you are seeing one Islamic program or the other. Immediately after Ramadan, you don't get to see those. Who do we address those? Me, I am in the media industry, and I know that all those. Now, we are using this medium to do what?
To ask our brothers and sisters to come on board and let's promote Islam. Let's, keep propagating Islam. Let's let's invest in the programs so that our younger ones can watch them and people can know more about the religion. Islam. They can see the light in the religion and they can know more about the Quran. When they hear that life itself is a test, all the answers they are in the Quran. But when we don't tell children, especially the younger generation, we have to let them know that there's nothing else in life but holding on to God.
Okay, and it is through this kind of
programs that they can be educated and be informed about.
So make it easy for us. Now, when we talk of charity giving, we know that in the month of Ramadan, most of us will give. But now Ramadan is over. What advice would you give to Muslims out there regarding charity? Of course, we know that charity begins at home. Now, as mothers first, and then as Muslims.
First of all, mashallah, A saying of the Holy Prophet says,
Sallallahu
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that you're not a Muslim if you go to bed and if you go to bed tummy filled and your neighbor goes to bed hungry, you are not a Muslim. So if you call yourself a Muslim, it goes beyond just observing your 5 daily prayers. So charity is part of Islam. You see a needy beside the road, and the whole chapter Almighty Allah dedicated to giving charity to the needy. When wala yahud wala ta'amil miskin, Suratul Maun. Have you seen he who rejects religion? They are the kind of people that drive away the orphan, and they urge not the feeding of the poor. So what's those who pray? Those that are unmindful of their prayers. Allah now said in the next verse that those that just do it for the sake of wanting to be seen or wanting to be acknowledged by people. So it goes beyond just observing your prayers. Charity it complements, everything goes hand in hand. So you can't observe Salat without doing charity. It's part of the life of a Muslim.
When we say charity begins at home,
Exactly.
as a mother, during Ramadan, I know most of us were nudging our children on to fast and do all of those charitable deeds. We should still continue
of course.
and then still encourage them to fast once a while too, because I know that if we encourage these children, it's the only way they will know that this is part of us. Now, most children know that, okay, when it was Ramadan, they knew it was Ramadan and they wanted to fast. But most of us should try as much as possible, I believe, to let these children know that this is something that should be constant
Ramadan,
in our life, and we should be consistent. And then consistency for a Muslim, what do you think about it? Most of us, I realize that the reason why we don't get to continue things is because maybe it's not working for you. If, for instance, what I do every morning is Suratul Yasin, and I see Sister Sakina, and I think things are working for her, and I ask her, what do you do every morning? She says Suratul Mulk. I decide to change to what she's doing. Now, how do you think that would help me as a Muslim? Because I know Allah wants us to be consistent.
Yes, mashallah.
We should just try and be consistent.
Mashallah, in my opinion, every verse of the Holy Quran is a prayer. And everything boils down to the level of faith you have in you while you're saying that prayer. As a Muslim, the first thing you should register in your mind that whatever prayer you have sat down to say is already answered. So very important for us to build it in our hearts. So you don't need to, because somebody did 1 million la ilaha illallah, you have to sit to do 1 million. It is not, Islam is
even if
not
it's
as
Surah
difficult as
Al-Fatiha,
that.
you can recite and
Exactly.
recite well.
Yes.
Recite it.
Concentration.
Even if you decide the dhikr you want to do, this la ilaha illallah you want to do, I want to do 1,000 of it. Just sit down and do it. You open your Quran, you open any page or any chapter, recite it. And it's nice to be constant and consistent in whatever you do. If you decide you want to recite I want Surah Al-Fatih, I want to recite it every day. They said it's victory. Yes, I need victory. And you believe in it. And you have faith in Almighty Allah. Then everything, whatever it is before you, it's conquered. You are a victor already. So you just keep reciting it. Once you keep reciting it, perfect it. You decide to read in English, before you know what's happening, you've crammed it.
Exactly.
You decide to read in Arabic, before you know what's happening, you can recite at least. The consistency is so important in Islam.
So as Muslims, we should try as much as possible to maintain our level of faith such that there is nothing we hear or see that would change our level of faith. No stumbling block. Nothing happens without Allah's consent. And I always say that you are not a Muslim until you do things with accordance to the Quran and the Sunnah. If anything goes beyond that, then you are not a Muslim. So after Ramadan, in one word, what are we expected to become? A better person, a more useful person, a more charitable person.
Exactly.
All these qualities put together, rolled into one, is what a Muslim is expected to do. Now on this program now, we will showcase to you this beautiful Islamic literature to guide you and let you have a better understanding of what you should do after Ramadan. Bismillah.
On our Read a Book segment today, we will be recommending to you this beautiful book titled Golden Stories of Accepted Prayers, written by Abdul Malik Mujahid. It is a 287-page book that talks about the need, efficacy, and purpose of prayer in detail. It specifies different types of Quranic prayer and their uses. It illustrates different invocations which are in the real sense request, which comes from the bottom of our hearts. to Almighty Allah. We should feel assured that Allah will accept our requests, and we should do so with complete sincerity and devotion. Take this book today and give your mind some thinking. Remember, readers are leaders.
So far from you, yet to me you were always so close. I wandered lost in the dark. I closed my eyes to all the signs you put in my way. I walked every day further and further away from you. Ooh, Allah, you brought me home. I thank you with every breath I take. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All praises to Allah, all praises to Allah. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All praises to Allah, all praises to Allah.
Did you know fact is meant to let you know some of the things that we think you should have at your fingertips. So this is the fact we think you should know for this week. Our question for the week goes thus. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I say thank you so much, my sisters, for coming, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward every single word that comes out of our mouth, because I know that somebody somewhere is listening and is wishing to be like us, thinking that we don't have our own trial. Sister Sakina, you look beautiful. You don't seem like someone who has any trial. I believe you have something to say to that person that is looking, that is watching now and thinking you don't have a problem, you don't have a trial.
Mashallah, a trial is always part of the life of every believer. Even the Holy Prophet, as much as he worshipped Almighty Allah, he had the trials. He was faced with trials and tribulations of being rejected by even his relatives. So as much as possible, as a Muslim, we should try as much as possible to believe that trial is part of our life, and Allah supersedes whatever trial we have. There is no trial that is beyond the capacity of Almighty Allah. And Allah has promised us again in the verse of the Holy Quran that He will never place upon you a burden that is more than your capability. So you should always have a very strong faith that Allah is above all. Mashallah.
Amen. Sister Khadija, I am sure with this shiny hijab, you have so many of them. You don't lack anything. There's somebody out there thinking that.
Assalamu alaikum. Life is full of tests, but challenges. But with the promise and our belief in Almighty Allah that whatever challenges you face, the challenges will come. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam lost children while he was alive, and that didn't stop him from leaving Islam, regardless of what. Almighty Allah, we pray that Almighty Allah will not let us lose children while we are alive. But we're just saying that the challenges in life is not directed at anybody in particular. It's out there. But the solace we have, the comfort we have, and there's a chapter in the Quran, in chapter 94, Surah Al-Inshura, Alam Nashra. It's a very short chapter. Alam Nashra laka sadrak wa dana laka wizrak aladiyam kada zarak wa falaka dikrak wa inna ma'al usri yusra inna ma'al usri yusra. Fa'idha farakta fansa wa ila wa bika faga. My sisters out there, just take that chapter, look at the meaning, and take it every morning. Recite it. We all want comfort. And once you start continuously recite it, you'll see the hands of Allah in your life, and things, inshallah, and things will change. Once you have that behind your mind, you continue to live that life of pity. You'll continue to be pious. You won't do what will hurt somebody else. You won't try to take other people's things by force. And you'll feel for your neighbors, you'll feel for the needy, and you'll see the whole world as one big family.
Mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Sister Halima, please let us ask Muslim scholars out there to come do such programs so that, it won't be during Ramadan alone we get to see Ramadan tafsir here, Ramadan tafsir there, and then we're not organizing anything. Just in one word.
Mashallah, we should just try and be our brothers' keepers in one sentence, because Muslims are brothers and sisters all over the world. We answer only one call.
Yes.
So please, let's answer this call of charity. Let's sponsor programs on televisions and radios, Islamic programs, so that our upcoming Muslims and even those ones that are interested in our religion, by the time they see what we have put into the religion, they would really be interested and they would want to join our religion. So let's also be charitable.
We have heard it all. After Ramadan, what is next is for us to be pious, to put people into perspective of what we want them to do for us. Do to others what you want others to do. Do all the good deeds that Allah has asked you to do. Follow the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad and as much as possible, be Muslim enough to showcase Islam in a positive light. We say Islam is beautiful. We are the ones who will make it beautiful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us.
Amen.
My sisters, I say Jazakallah khairan for me. May Allah reward you abundantly. I say thank you to everyone who has made this program possible today, the sponsor, the crew, and every single person out there who's stay tuned to watch. May Allah give you the rahmah, sakina, minima, and barakah involved here on earth and on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. We would find mercy on the day that all crave His mercy. For my sisters and I, we say
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Fortunate is he. Fortunate.
This program is sponsored in memory of Ajiya Fauziya Kende Lola Hali. May Allah grant her Al-Jannah Firdaus. Amen.
His thoughts of Allah and Judgment Day.